Alrighty, here we go. This is the official recap of the sub 240 marathon attempt. We're now roughly about a week removed, so I'm just going to discuss the good, the bad and the ugly, what went right, what went wrong, and just try and recap the whole story about this 240 attempt. And yeah, I'll try not get stuck on any one topic and ramble too long. There's quite a lot to cover in this video, and a lot of lessons have been taken from this first attempt at a sub 240 marathon. I'm very proud of what I managed to pull out on the day, and I'm already kind of realising the way I'm speaking is probably quite evident that I didn't quite hit the target, but given the circumstances, I'm very proud of what I was able to pull off. So I just want to delve into what happened the week leading up to the marathon. Obviously the injury I had not too far out from race day either, which I'm super stoked that I was able to get it to the point that it was race ready, given how severe that injury was. But we've already covered that in previous videos. So anyway, the week of the race, or the week prior, unfortunately my wife came down with a stomach bug. And my body essentially was fighting this stomach bug the whole week leading into the race, and it's quite amazing what the body can do in terms of keeping these symptoms at bay, knowing that the race was coming up. So essentially I didn't get the full-blown symptoms the week of, but I was really struggling to stomach any food. And I was just constantly bloated the whole week, and I'd wake up every morning with that sort of that reflux feeling like I wanted to spew. And you know, lots of things go through your mind. You start thinking, is this nerves and all of that kind of jazz? But I feel like I dealt with it pretty well. I didn't let it get to me. I didn't stress out about it. I just thought, oh well, this is just what I'm dealing with. I've been here before. People that know me personally know that I've had quite a bad run of getting ill, getting sick the week of races. I've run marathons before with the flu, and I've run a backyard ultra with the flu. For whatever reason, whether I'm overthinking and stressed about an upcoming race, or whether I'm in a complete relaxed mood and it's a last minute entry into a race, which has happened before, I still seem to get sick. It seems to be quite a curse, but I'm not going to let it deter me from my big goals and long-term vision of where I can, where I believe my capabilities are with running, which I'll go into a little bit later in this video. But anyway, let's talk about race day. So the last couple of days leading into the race, I was developing a cough, possibly psychosomatic, you know. I was feeling quite woozy in the head, and I thought, oh well, maybe this is just pent up energy from the taper working. And just sort of just put it to the back of my mind. The race started, we were on pace. I was actually running a little bit ahead of the group. For some reason, I generally feel better when I run by myself and doing my own pace. Sometimes I find when I run in a group, it almost distracts me. I'm not sure why that is. Yeah, I'm just a bit of a solo runner for some reason. I find like I can get into a much more of a flow when I'm running by myself. So I sort of just ended up a little bit in front of the 240 pack. Pace felt really good. I was running low 340s per kilometre for the first 15 kilometres or so. I accidentally ran a 335 kilometre at kilometre 15, I believe it was. I don't know where that came from. But essentially right from the get-go, it was extremely difficult to stomach anything. Every time I tried having a gel, I would get cramping and pain in my stomach. My stomach was bloated. I was really struggling to get fluids down. And that was just the reality of the race. That was just what I was dealing with. It was what it was. I did everything I could to try and stay positive in the race. My my in-laws, they were at the 13-kilometre mark cheering me on, and I sort of waved at them and smiled, and there were some kids on the side of the around, I think it might have been the 17-kilometre mark or 15, somewhere around there, and they were sort of putting their hands out for high fives, and I was trying my best to just soak up the energy and just think, well, if I stay positive, maybe I can pull off a miracle today. And things were going well in terms of cardio and the pace itself. It felt relatively easy. It felt like what it should in the early stages of a marathon. I never felt like I was pushing myself too hard, even though the stomach was in quite a lot of pain. And eventually, unfortunately, there was a breaking point where it was a hot sunny day. We were in the sort of low 20 Celsius range, which I'm not sure what that converts to in Fahrenheit, but it's not super hot, but I mean, it's hot enough to feel it. We had the sun beaming down on us. There was no cloud coverage. It was a hot day. And yeah, when you can't get in much fluids, I mean, I did the maths after the race. I'm not even sure if I managed to get a litre of water in over the entire race. That's just how difficult it was trying to stomach the water. It just, as soon as I took a little sip at an aid station, it felt like my stomach completely swelled up. And so, yeah, like I said, that was just the reality. It was what I was dealing with, and I did my best. I would try to breathe in through my nose and out through my mouth and try and relax my body. I found that's helped in other races, especially when I've done races with a lot of uphill, where you're trying to push yourself uphill and your body starts sort of going into a bit of a panic mode. I find that nasal breathing, in through the nose, out through the mouth, trying to just focus on the breath and take your mind away from the pain. That's what I was trying to do. I was just trying to calm the body down and just get through it, essentially. And so I think I made it to about 27 kilometres on pace, or actually slightly ahead of pace. And that's where the wheels fell off. That was when I was really severely struggling to get the water down, even though as we were getting through the day, the temperature was rising, it was getting hotter, and obviously you need those fluids. So essentially what I was trying to do was I was trying to force it down as much as I could early on in the race, knowing that it was going to be a battle to get my nutrition down the whole way. And yeah, anyway, I battled through to the end. The final time was just under 2 hours and 52 minutes. It was 2:51 something. I actually can't remember exactly what the time was. So I was roughly about 12 minutes off the goal finishing time. And given the situation, given the fact that I had to miss a few of my very crucial long runs because of the hip and back injury, because of the stomach bug, I'm just proud of the effort I put in. But it's taken quite a toll on my body. I had to go to the medic tent afterwards. My whole face was sort of vibrating when I finished. It was the most intense, strange sensation. I was sort of going into a bit of a fever. I was getting really, really cold. My whole body was just covered in goosebumps, and I was quite mute. I was really struggling to talk. The medic would come over to me, and I think I said to him face. I think that was all I could get out of my words, just out of my mouth, because my face was just buzzing, and it felt quite. Yeah, I was quite worried in that moment about my health. But they took my vitals, they checked my temperature and all of that, and essentially I just had to try and sit there and try and rehydrate as much as I could, and yeah. And so the aftermath, for about 4 days I was laid up in bed, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I worked from home the last couple of days of the week, Thursday, Friday. Luckily I have that option. I have an office job, so I'm able to work from home if I need to, so managed to get a couple days of work in at home after I'd sort of semi-recovered. But yeah, I've only managed to get out of the house a couple times last night and this morning, just for a 10-15 minute walk sort of thing. I tried going up a little flight of stairs last night and my legs cramped up, and so it's going to be a little bit of time to recover from this whole ordeal. But in a nutshell, I've taken some lessons, because it would be easy to say, well, I got sick and I got injured and, that's why I didn't reach my goal. But that would be a silly way to look at it, because there's always things we can improve on. And looking at my training, I didn't give myself enough time to build my aerobic engine. I started a bit of a speed block sort of last year, actually, late last year, October, November, something like that. And I was having so much fun with building speed, I sort of fell into the trap of, I think it was almost a mental weakness, where I was building all this speed and running at these paces faster than race pace, thinking that this was just going to magically make race pace feel easy, which it did to a degree, but it was avoiding the hard work of the long runs. And I mean, if I didn't get injured, I essentially would have done 3 more quality long runs, race-specific long runs in this build. So that was semi out of my control in a sense. But even with that being said, I should have started the long run work a lot earlier on. I should have prioritised a little bit more volume where I could, although I did have some really good quality weeks in there. And that's what I'm sort of taking as this lesson moving forward, is making sure that the long run is something that is just a staple in my training year round. May not have to be every single weekend, but close to it. I really want to make that a staple in my training and just keep myself accountable to, I have more time on my hands in the weekends, and so use it wisely, go out there and get in those quality long runs. I've heard of certain examples. Andy Buchanan, the Australian, he comes to mind, where he said he broke the Australian marathon record a little while ago, not too long ago, but he mentioned that, I think it was for the previous 2 years prior to that, working with his coach, they prioritised the long run. Whether they were getting ready for a race or not, he was doing a long run every single weekend. And I find that to be one of those real golden nuggets of insight, because I feel that's where the wheels fall off, so to speak, with my preparation and where my strengths and weaknesses lie. I think my power to endurance ratio is off. I feel like I've got a lot of room to improve in building that aerobic engine, because the speed's already there. And when I think back to where I started prior to running, it was a whole weightlifting and strength-based protocol. And then even when I started running, I was doing crazy shit like putting ankle weights on and just doing hill sprints. It's always been very power-based. It's what I've kind of enjoyed. I've found fun. It's sort of ignited those sort of just the imagination in a way, taking it back to the Dragon Ball Z days and watching them train in the gravity chamber and things like that. It's sort of, channeling that sort of spirit of training in my mind, doing those crazy exercises. I've even got a video years ago of doing an 80 kilo barbell box jump. Just out the gate stuff, but it was all power based. And I'm glad I've built that. It is very, it's something I now don't have to build, so to speak. Now I can maintain that sharpness, that speed, that power, and just build this beast of an engine to support it. And so that's what I'm super excited for. And that's kind of what I spent my time doing while I was laid up in bed recovering from this marathon, just studying, watching a lot of videos from quality content. Steve Magnus has been a great resource this week. Dude's just full of knowledge. David Roche, the Norwegian, I forgot his name, he's the coach who coaches Christian Blumenfeld and all those top triathletes, listening to him. And essentially it's just, I want to be the best athlete I can, but also the best coach I can be. I coached one of my friends in the marathon as well. Unfortunately, he picked up a foot injury quite early on in the prep. He was running and also playing football, soccer, which I think may have played into this foot injury. He's actually getting scans for it now to find out what's going on there. But we worked around that, and he still managed a 3:03 marathon, which I'm super proud of him pulling that out of the bag. The goal was a sub 3, but given the circumstances, I think he did unbelievably well. But you know, I still feel that accountability where I wish I could have given him some more knowledge and coached him a little bit better. So that's been a big motivation in this sort of reflection process after the marathon is how can I be better as an athlete, and how can that translate to my coaching, and just get the best out of the people who are trusting in me to pass on this knowledge to them and guide them in a sense. So I'm not rushing this post-marathon process. It's been a painful one, not just physically, just everything. You know, you put a lot of time and effort into a race, and when it goes the way it went, it's hard to process that, because your body is in a completely, you know, damaged state. Your body is broken down physically. You pushed your mind to a dark place. You had to take it to this dark place to get across the finish line, and it sort of takes a little bit from you and takes time to replenish that. And so I've just tried my best to sit with that and acknowledge that, and just sort of sit and just wait for lessons to sort of spring to mind, and then, okay, what do I need to do about this? And it made me realise that I don't want to put myself in that mental space too many times during a race. I don't want to be digging such a deep hole mentally that it's going to take that much toll on my body and my mind and my being. And the thing I love about trail running, if I'm going to divert from the road marathon to trail running, I can't think of a race or a trail running race where I've felt that level of pain and discomfort mentally. Physically it's been difficult, but mentally I feel so much more alive, and there's something sort of spiritual, without sounding too much of a dork, about running through the trees and connecting to the terrain and being in that more natural setting. The undulation of the race and everything about it is just feels a bit more sacred. It feels a bit more sort of struggling to find the words, but essentially, in a nutshell, I just love trail running a lot more than I love running on a road. It's more inspiring to me. I feel like I can channel more energy and get more out of myself without the same mental anguish and strain and pain. So, the rest of the year, most of this year, is going to be ultra marathons and sort of middle distance running on the trails, which I'm very excited about. I'm excited to build this aerobic engine, keep sharp. I'm still going to be doing hill sprints. I'm still going to be heading to the track and doing the speed work, but more emphasis on building this beast of an engine, and see what I'm capable of. And then next time I come back to the marathon, 240 won't even be 240 will be a walk in the park. That's the goal. The goal is still to run a sub 230 by the end of the year. That's still on the cards, but I'm going to build this engine my way, so to speak. I'm going to do it in the trails. I'm still going to be training on the road, but it's going to be an entire mixture of hill strength and speed, and then dialing in for whatever race is coming up. So whether it's more hill specific, whether it's a road race, I can dial in closer to the time, but that engine will be continue to be built year round. So that's the goal at this point. Was there anything else I wrote down? No, that's pretty much it, apart from, I mean, the shoes, the Saucony Endorphin Elite 2s, they certainly felt fast. I think they did help. It's really hard to know when you're in a marathon though, because when you're at that point where you've just absolutely battered yourself, no shoe on the bloody face of this planet feels good. Everything feels like shit. And you're struggling to stay alive. And yeah, I think this is a topic for a different video, because I'm constantly battling with the idea of shoes in my head. Being a flat-footed 4-foot striker who loves running trails in the Vibram 5 fingers, a super shoe is the complete opposite to that, and I feel it completely alter my gait cycle. And so I'm still figuring out in my head what is best suited for my anatomy, my physiology, because I feel like my sort of wide, flat feet are very suited for Vibrams. I think I get more out of them. I get more out of barefoot shoes than people who don't have flat feet and don't run with my specific stride. There's been many cases where I've had sort of injuries pop up and I've fixed them from just running in Vibrams. So I think it's something that's just going to be never ending. I'm going to be constantly refining and experimenting with when to use the Vibrams, because they do take a toll on the calf muscles. Sorry, this is a completely different tangent now, but and then using the cushioned footwear on, say, flat recovery runs to just let the calf muscles recover and just sort of plod along and get that mileage, keep building that engine. But I'm going to be doing some very specific work in the Vibrams, very quality workouts. I'm even considering taking them back to the track. I have done track sessions before in Vibrams, and I feel like they suit the slightly cushioned terrain, the slightly cushioned surface of the track. It's sort of like, I mean, spikes are very minimalist, I suppose. I suppose they have some similarity in that way, where the Vibrams let you activate your calf muscles at maximum. So using them in that track setting, I think will be very good for just building just mechanical power, mechanical efficiency, just that pawing technique where your foot paws naturally at the ground as opposed to slamming and bouncing when you're in a super shoe. It's a different feeling, and I don't want to lose that natural running stride too much. I want to keep honing it and keep strengthening it and utilizing the entire lower body when I run, and then allowing the super shoe to enhance my running performance on race day. But anyway, topic for a different discussion. I really do think having a very diverse shoe rotation with very specific shoes for specific workouts, with that wide of a spectrum, going from complete minimalist Vibrams right up to a super shoe, and having everything in between for different terrain, trail, road, hybrid sort of workouts. I think we can get very nitty gritty with them, and I think not just from an enjoyment perspective, which is where I naturally go to. I naturally think of it like I select the Vibrams because I just love boosting through hills and Vibrams. It's such a connected, raw way to run. It's so enjoyable. But I also think there's a real performance benefit to having that really, really dialed in shoe rotation. Anyway, thanks for watching. Yeah, hopefully I'll be back to running soon. I've only gone for a couple walks. I tried to do some squats. I did a 20 kilogram barbell squat. My quads were bloody cramping up on me. So it's going to be a while, but I'm just happy to be bloody alive. I survived the marathon. I can finally hydrate. I'm not bloody... the food is finally sitting. It's not just going straight out the other end, which was very difficult to recover from a marathon when you can't hold anything down. But yeah, on to the next one. Awesome. Cheers.